After God reincarnated Machio, God was worried about his condition and decided to look in the forest. God still feels guilty because he made Machio's destiny even more miserable in the previous world. That destiny was supposed to be for the criminals, but gods cannot interfere in human life directly. So God deliberately gave Machio another chance to live in another world as his apology. But God remembered that the forest he chose was a forest of death filled with dangerous monsters. He couldn't return Machio to this god's realm because he had already been reincarnated into another world. God wanted to take Machio's life right away through another medium, but the god's rules must not interfere with human life. Gods only determine destiny and help human life processes indirectly. So God becomes even more guilty and wants to apologize after Machio dies. After several days of planting various vegetables, Machio slightly understood his powers. It turns out that all these vegetable seeds can grow by themselves thanks to the all-purpose farming tool. Suppose Machio is plowing the field while expecting or imagining the vegetables he wants to plant. In that case, the vegetable seeds will automatically be planted in Machio's field. So he just had to wait for the vegetable seeds to grow. Thanks to the all-purpose farming tool, any crop grows faster than usual. Even Machio is often surprised by the fresh vegetables produced by this all-purpose farming tool, but he also has to continue to learn about agricultural knowledge even further. For example, some potatoes were unfit for harvest due to exposure to the sun, so Machio had to check each potato to add soil on top. Then Machio also made statues of the gods because he could farm leisurely in another world thanks to them. Machio didn't know what the god of agriculture looked like, so he made a handsome statue in the clothes typical of a farmer. Machio and Kuroyuki's life in this forest can be categorized as a primitive era because there is no technology here. Every day they only eat the meat of the rabbit monsters that usually attack their base. The taste of the food that Machio usually cooks is very original or bland. There are no sweet, salty, or other spices. Machio hopes he can get salt so that the food he makes tastes delicious. Then Machio tries something new through the power of his all-farming tool. He started growing fruits according to his imagination. Machio's food supply will be more varied if they can grow properly. Machio's life with Kuroyuki and their children was very peaceful and happy. Machio is also aware of the horns on his pets. He wasn't surprised by it because this was another world. After all, Machio was grateful to continue playing and have friends like them. But if things like this continued, Machio would also feel lonely. Kuroyuki and their children also frequently explored the forest and were able to return safely. Thanks to them, Machio could finally find a river very far from the base. There is also a wonderful waterfall that is suitable to be used as a place to refresh themselves. He also intends to create a water system from the river to his fields. This will take a long time, but Machio will work on this project in stages. Then Machio decided to build a toilet near a river to facilitate his natural needs as a human. After that, Machio returned to his base to grow various groceries needs. For example, oil-producing plants, wheat can be made into flour and all-purpose, and sugar cane to add a sweet taste. Winter is almost here, and Machio will definitely be cold because the forest is freezing. Because of that, he planned to use the skin from the monster rabbit he cleaned. But unfortunately, the monster's skin still smelled bad, and Machio couldn't bear to wear it. The only way is for Machio to shut himself up at home for a few weeks until the winter subsides. So he had to prepare a supply of firewood and food. Then suddenly, Koro called Machio because a cute spider monster appeared in their base. But this monster didn't attack Machio. Instead, the spider greeted him like this. The monster understood that Machio had a hard time dealing with the cold temperature in this forest. So the monster knitted a handkerchief for Machio, which was very high quality and soft. Machio doesn't know where this spider comes from, but now the monster lives in Machio's big tree, and the monster really likes to eat potatoes. Wait a minute, I just just discovered that spiders can eat potatoes. He also continues to make clothes out of the rabbit monster skins that Machio collects. Not only that, but he also knits various kinds of other equipment for Machio's house. So now Machio has a new friend, and he names the Spider Zabuthan because it looks like a pillow.
Zabuton! 新たな頼れる同居人だ。
Finally, winter came, the temperature outside was extreme, and the forest was filled with snow. Kuroyuki and their children shut themselves in their house. Meanwhile, Machio has prepared a large supply of food and firewood to survive this extreme weather. He also thought that Zabuthan was hibernating and had not come down from the tree since many days ago. Machio is grateful because his fate is now better than the world before. Even so, Machio still feels lonely because he hasn't talked to anyone in a long time. Even in the previous world, he had never been visited by anyone while suffering from a chronic illness.
このままだと喋り方を忘れそうだ。どうしてだろう。なんとなく物寂しい。
Months have passed, and the season has turned to spring. Machio lives life as usual with his pets. But one day, Kuroyuki's grown children line up in front of Machio to ask permission to explore the forest. A few days later, it turned out that they had returned to headquarters with their couples. Machio doesn't know what happened to them, but he is happy because Kuroyuki's children have their own families. Machio is also surprised after seeing Zabuthan again. It turns out she is a female spider that hibernates to give birth to her children. Machio is a little jealous of them for having a family, but Machio didn't mind it and continued developing his farm. Many villagers he has to give food every day. By the way, Machio already considers this a small village because of the residents and the independent system of his friends. Several weeks later, Zabuthan sounded the warning alarm, and Kuro came to report that something was in the vicinity of the village. After Machio followed Kuro's direction,
出会いはいつも突然である。
it turns out she was the girl at the bar at the time. Machio was surprised because a girl without clothes came to the middle of the forest like this. She was terrified of being attacked by Kuroyuki and Zabuthan's children. Machio immediately stopped his pet's actions, and the girl asked him for help. When Machio approached her,
魔物なんだ。実は魔物とかそういう危険な何かだよ。成長した。待て待て、おかわり。お座り。また小さくなった。
after the girl turned into a lowly form again, Machio asked, "Who are you? Are you my enemy?" Then the girl says that she is not Machio's enemy and asks for help so that Machio's pets don't attack her anymore. The girl also apologizes for suddenly sucking Machio's blood. She was forced to do it because she had to recover her stamina to transform into her adult body. If the girl was too tired, her body would turn a lowly form like this while naked. Well, she's cute when she's in lowly form. The girl thought Machio's pets were monsters in this forest, so she tried to attack one of them, but it turned out she failed, resulting in being attacked by all of Machio's pets like this. The girl didn't expect to meet a human in the forest like this, so today's incident was a coincidence for her. Then Machio allowed the girl to suck his blood again. He also deliberately put her on his lap so she could be more comfortable and enjoy Machio's blood. Several minutes passed, and the girl finally changed form and put her clothes back on. She thanked Machio because she had never sucked blood this fresh from other humans. Then Machio wondered why the girl's body was not as big as before. She replied if she sucked more of Machio's blood like before, Machio could die. But Machio didn't care about that. He allows the girl to suck Machio's blood until she is satisfied and transforms into her adult body. Then the girl accepted Machio's offer and sat on his lap again. The girl was amazed by Machio's farm because she had never seen anything like this in the forest. Then she was curious about the tomatoes Machio grew because she had never seen fruit like this. Then Machio said that it was a vegetable, almost similar to fruit, but still categorized as a type of vegetable. Maybe this fruit doesn't exist in this world, and only Machio grows it. Then Machio immediately used his all-purpose farming tool to give her one tomato. The girl was surprised because these vegetables can be eaten immediately, and the taste and texture are also unique. Then she wanted to see all the farm fields that Machio planted here, and they had fun harvesting vegetables together. At night, the girl was pleased because she could find many kinds of plants today. She also registered the names of the vegetables she learned in her magic notebook. Then they chatted and got to know each other. She was Rurushiru from the vampire race. She was fighting with the nobles in her country because they wanted to take away the research that Ru had been obtaining. Ru escapes, and the nobles command armies to capture her. Because of that, Ru hides her identity and gets information about this forest from a bartender in a town. She deliberately came to this forest to seek a safe hiding place. After all, this forest also likely had something new for Ru to research. It turns out that Ru was right, and now she is very excited and interested in researching every vegetable that Machio grows. The rumors from the citizens were completely true. The Forest of Death was filled with many high-level monsters. Upon hearing that, Machio was surprised because he didn't know about the rumors. Ru is also surprised that Machio doesn't know about this Forest of Death, even though Machio has lived here for a long time and has many high-level monster pets. Then Ru was also curious about the magic Machio used when cutting the vegetables. She had never seen the magic that could form such a tool. Because of this, Ru becomes increasingly interested in Machio and his farm. She also asked Machio for permission to visit this base as often as possible. Machio was silent for a moment. He thought his meeting with Ru happened by chance. According to him, chances are this opportunity will not come a second time. Because of that, Machio begs Ru to stay here if she doesn't mind. Ru replies that she can stay here for a few days since the research also takes a long time. But Machio immediately states that he wants to live together with Ru. Even if Ru doesn't mind, Machio doesn't want just a few days but to be together forever. Machio didn't want to pass up this opportunity. He couldn't live this life alone for so many years.
わかったわよ。ちょっと急すぎて。
Ru blushed because Machio said that so suddenly. After all, they had only met today. But Machio said with enthusiasm that they would get used to it when they lived together.
追われる身だし。
構わない。
ヴァンパイアだし。
問題ない。
一緒に住めって言ったでしょ。
ああ、一人は寂しいし。つまり
ここに住むのは分かったわよ。プロポーズだなんて。
プロポーズ？
今さら照れるの？
いや、そうか。
ずっと一緒にいろって、それってそういうことでしょ？
この通り！
もう分かったって言ってるのよ。
Finally, Ru accepts his proposal, and Machio is very happy because he will no longer be alone in this world. His fate has changed much for the better. Now, Machio's life is more colorful thanks to the presence of Ru, the beautiful vampire girl. They also greeted each other very romantically, but Machio sees Ru deliberately changing body form to a teenager. Ru says this is self-defense so that Machio doesn't keep asking things like that.
こうしていれば手を出そうとは思わないでしょ？
ああ、自重します。
Machio is going to plant sweet potatoes today to increase the food supply. Then Ru asked about medicinal herbs to Machio. Can it be planted in the field or not? Machio replied that he would try it first. He is happy because Ru is the first person as a resident who can communicate directly with Machio. If he adds up the number of monsters, Ru will likely be the 30th resident.
種をどこかから調達しないとね。
第30村人くらいだ。
何その肩書き。
実は種は必要なくてだな。
どうして？
At night, a beautiful girl visits the same bar as Ru before. She asks a bartender there about Ru. The bartender says that Ru is headed to the Forest of Death, and recently many people have wanted to go there. He also advised the girl to surrender because the forest was very dangerous.
なるほど、わかりました。ご親切にありがとうございます。